right, hello everybody and welcome to the Awesemo.com live before lock show. We'll be talking about the day's MLB slate. We got a big 10 games going on. I'm Chris Spags. Joined today, filling in for the Chubster, is the baseball savant himself, Jake Hari. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Excited to play after a few days off. I talked to some of you guys early this morning, and we'll be doing that again tomorrow, solo. It'll be great. And I'm wearing my New Jersey Devils jersey for my boy Taylor Hall, won the Hart Trophy. Yeah, man, it's a good day. I'm excited to play.
And Jake is also a new uncle, so if you want to congratulate him on his family being able to reproduce, his beautiful sister had a little baby, so yeah. Congratulate him. Yeah. Follow him on Twitter if you want to see a cute baby photo and Jake looking like a strong man who's proud to be an uncle.
Yeah, very proud about that. So happy for a number of reasons.
Yes, I mean, it's a big moment for you. You get a little taste of baby life without having to do it yourself. Right. Like, that's a nice little plus to have.
Yep.
We do have we actually have a contest on Playline tomorrow, by the way. We've talked about Playline a lot in the past. It's a great way to win money, build your DFS bankroll. Not the hardest thing in the world to play. You're just guessing pitches, strikes, strikeouts. I guess hopefully not guessing. You're projecting pitches, strikes, and strikeouts for 3 players in a contest we're doing tomorrow. You go guess those for David Price, John Lester, and Luis Severino. Top prize is getting $2,400, and there is $6,000 in prizes in total. It's one of the bigger tournaments we've had on there as well. So go sign up now, playline.com/r/awesemo. Jake will have an article up coming up about it tomorrow, I think. So hopefully that'll help you guys out. But go playline.com/r/awesemo. Now on to this slate. Jake, we talked a little bit about pitchers before we went on the air. Who are you liking the most so far at pitcher?
Yeah, so it's Verlander. I mean, it's just he's the number one. I think it's very clear. So now that leaves the rest of these guys, and I like this kid Underwood, and it's mostly a price thing. The Cubs pitcher prospect coming up, it's mostly a price thing. He's 4K, and I want Verlander in the majority of my lineups, and it looks like he can make guys miss. He's going to give up runs. I don't think he's going to go and have a clean outing. I think he's going to give up some fly balls, maybe home runs, but or maybe a home run. But if it's a solo shot, if he can just allow a couple runs and get a strikeout per inning and go 5 or 6, and that would be I would be thrilled with 5 or 6 innings, a couple runs and 5 strikeouts. But if he just gets you double digits, it's just so appealing for 4K. No pitch count for him that I've seen, and he just threw, I believe, 98 pitches 6 starts ago. So he's kind of my punt pitcher, not my number 2. I like Clevenger. A few weather concerns in that St. Louis game, so not the safest play. But yeah, I mean, I have some Snell. That total's gone down, I think, as the day's gone on. I just saw that just now. But I have some Snell. I like Lugo. Who else am I missing? Oh, Felix. I wrote about him. I don't have a ton of Felix, but I just think that the matchup against Baltimore is so tasty that I'll attack them with pretty much anyone, and that includes Felix. And he's been better, getting more chases and swinging strikes lately. So I think that
you just needed somebody to believe in him. You needed me to be like, "Hey, Felix, I'm with you." And then ever since then, he's been inspired and playing great baseball.
Were you the one that sparked this Felix resurgence?
I was. I think he saw the live stream. There was one day where I had him versus the Yankees, and he was really motivated. And I think it meant a lot to him, and that's what I care about.
Yeah, I mean, he looks better. Had a couple good starts in a row, and the advanced stuff sort of supports that. So I don't have a problem with him. Man, it's not great though after Verlander. So I'm glad I'm playing multiple lineups tonight.
Yeah, I feel like Verlander obviously going to be the most popular play. We have him to be projected as the highest owned player on the slate. If you're a premium member of Awesemo.com, you can check it out now. Go see all of our ownership projections. Verlander, we have projected for just shy of 50% right now. So a lot of people have him in their lineups, and that alone might be a reason to not play so much Verlander because you want to differentiate somewhere. That said, Verlander is in a pretty good matchup versus Serrano. He is a tough fade. I don't know. Like I do like Clevenger. The weather worries me a little bit as well, like you mentioned. But Clevenger looks to me like one of the better pitchers on the slate. I think that there's a little bit of scariness on the other side. Obviously, with a lot of the Cardinals having some pretty good on base percentages, some decent power. Clevenger's been missing bats about as well as anybody on the slate. He does kind of limit damage as best he can. Not a ton of hard contact. I think he's a pretty interesting pivot off of Verlander. What do you think about Vincent Velasquez, who we have projected to be very highly owned, over 20%? Going against the Yankees, so not a great spot. Velasquez has had a tough time at home as well. Are you playing Velasquez or are you fading him?
I mean, I have Velasquez. Let's see what I'm at right now. Let's see. So I'll do one more crunch before the end of the show, but all right, this is going really slow. So I'll just tell you my percentage. I'm at 24 right now, so I'm like right on the field, maybe a little bit over. So I like Velasquez. It's never fun to play a pitcher against the Yankees, is kind of how I put it this morning. He's got huge strikeout upside. Like he could have 10 strikeouts here. I would not be shocked at all. We've seen pitchers do that against the Yankees multiple times this year. He could get completely blasted, but how many righties ended up in this Yankees lineup? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we have 6. So kind of the lineup we expected, and that's good news for Velasquez. It's just a super, super risky spot. I don't love that he's 20+%, but I think he's a pretty good play and one that I don't want to full fade Velasquez. So.
Yeah, I liked him more before knowing or seeing that we haven't projected to be so highly owned, just because, I mean, those Yankee bats obviously can be pretty damaging. Though they do strike out. So, I mean, I think the upside is there. I have a fair amount of him. I think I have like maybe 20% of him right now. But I think that I'm a little worried about it. I did just put in one Yankee stack as my final out of my 20 lineups for the day, just to kind of hedge a little bit on Velasquez.
Nice.
Who do you think is the worst pitcher on the slate right now?
Ooh, the worst pitcher on the slate. That's a good question.
It's got to be Cashner, right?
Who's that?
It's got to be Cashner, right?
Yeah, it's probably Cashner or, I mean, I think Straley's pretty bad. I think
Straley's a little interesting.
So anytime there's a pitcher that's 4,500, 4K, like, I mean, as long as they're not on a pitch count, like, just that in itself is going to make someone usable, especially when there's guys that you want to pay up for, like Clevenger, like Verlander. I don't want to use Straley. I'm getting my punt exposure to this guy Underwood. I think he's going to be. What do we have Straley at? Is he getting steam as the day has gone on? I haven't watched anything or paid much attention around the industry.
We have actually. Oh Jesus, we have him also being 20% owned. I think we have it generally. It looks like kind of the view on the slate is there's 2 or 3 guys. No, 3 guys who are all going to be pretty highly owned. Who are in that kind of 8,000 and under tier. So we talked about 2 of them. You want to guess who the third is, chat? Go ahead. Maybe I'll tell you.
Man, okay, so 20%. Yeah, I mean, I'm on Arizona bats. So I was on them before, and I might need to up my exposure. I had them as one of the best stacks of the night. Straley giving up 50% hard contact, and then almost no soft contact. So he's just getting hit really, really hard. Tons of line drives. I mean, he can strike guys out at times, but I'm not scared of him striking out like Goldschmidt or Peralta. Oh, Peralta's not in the lineup. Lamb, Descalso, Kettle Marte. Like, these guys are all awesome plays, I think. And now that Straley's going to be, or getting some juice as the day goes on, yeah, I like Arizona even more.
So I was on Arizona on the solo stream I did on Friday, and I actually feel bad about that because one guy I recommended, Mike Minor, your favorite, Jake. I recommended him over Ivan Nova just because, like, Nova's not a great pitcher, and I didn't think enough about Arizona strikes out so much versus righties, and they don't get on base a ton. They have a lot of dangerous power, and I think I kind of gravitated more towards their potential rather than recognizing the fact that, yeah, they strike out a lot. They don't grade out particularly well versus righties. So I think that's why I'm a little more inclined to think Straley's an okay play, given how much he's missing bats and how much they can strike out. So I don't know. I'm trying to keep a more open eye because, like, I think the Diamondbacks are a team I trust too much for how they actually perform, and they're not as great as I sometimes think they are.
Right, that's fair. So I'm just looking up their stats, just something I like to do for like the last month, versus pitcher handedness. So when you look at strikeout percentage, they're 13th against righties over the last 30 days. Walk rate is average, but then you look at like their ISO is 205 against righties over the last month. So they've been much, much better lately. That ranks 4th in that split, and then 102 WRC plus. So I think it's safe to say they've been above average against righties lately. I know they started off, they were god awful. I was targeting them all the time with right-handed pitchers, but as Goldschmidt has started to heat up, this lineup is just completely different with him hitting in it, rather than hitting line drives and ending innings and all that stuff. He's just so good right now.
Yeah, I think, the Diamondbacks to me are like a very GPP play. I mean, like obviously most of the things are, but I think for them in particular, like, their WRC plus on the year is only 81, which is not great, but Jake's right, they are improving. And I think it's also John Jay probably helps. He's always on base. I think that gives him a little more steam with having at least one runner in scoring position usually. So yeah, I could see going there. It's just I feel like I'm probably a little burnt, and then that's the only reason why. And I think Straley's interesting. He's like his swinging strike percentage is one of the higher ones on the slate, which is surprising given how bad he is.
Yeah, no, I used Straley a bunch last year, and because of that swinging strike rate, he's good at getting swinging strikes. But that hard contact and the lack of soft contact really scares me. So 50.8% against righties, and then he's going to be facing a lot of lefties. So let's look at left-handed. He's at 48.7%, only 8% soft contact against left-handed batters, which is just super concerning. 7.3 walks per 9 against lefties is atrocious. 191 whip is very bad. 43% line drive percentage. Lefties are squaring him up all the time, and I'm not confident he can get swings and misses here. So I don't see why Arizona is not one of the higher owned stacks in the night. I mean, it's probably because of that 4.2 run total, and it's not like they're super cheap or anything, but I'm a little confused by that, why everyone wants to play Straley and not Arizona.
Sure. All right. Yeah, that's fair. And especially at the ownership, I mean, at that point too, if he's going to be 20% owned, then I think having Arizona also makes a lot more sense. So yeah, all right, that's fair. Who do you think is a pitcher tonight who might look good on paper? So I don't want to frame this question too much. I think Foltynewicz is actually he's a tough play tonight because of all the lefties on Cincinnati's side, and Foltynewicz has been significantly worse versus lefties. I think he's an interesting spot. I also think Tyler Mahle. So by the way, guys, I now have lefty-righty splits in my in my spreadsheet, so it's been helpful. But I think targeting Foltynewicz and I think Tyler Mahle, I think is sort of interesting because he's significantly worse versus lefties. 1.8 whip, xFIP of 6.8, which would be the worst on the entire slate. And obviously there are some lefties on Atlanta at the top of the order who can do a lot of damage. With Enciarte, Albies, Freeman, Markakis, and then you have Camargo also switch hitting. I think there's some logic there in going against Mahle, some logic going against Foltynewicz. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Mahle's been getting blasted just like Dan Straley, especially lefties. So I love the Braves. I love it, the top 4, but I'm not stopping at like Kurt Suzuki or even Danny Santana and Camargo. I like 1 through 7. I'm sure I'll have some Swanson in there. Just if I have a handful of Brave stacks, you might sneak into a couple. But yeah, I mean, this could be a potential game stack. I don't mind the Cincinnati side either. Now that we're kind of talking through this, Foltynewicz, I'm worried about him. I don't want to play Foltynewicz, so I'll say that he's only thrown. So the last time he threw a full game was that June 6th. That was almost 3 weeks ago, and he threw 73 pitches on June 12th, and then he skipped a start. I can't remember if he went to the DL. I believe he did, and now, so he hasn't thrown a full start in 3 weeks. So I'm concerned about his pitch count. I'm not paying 11.8 for him. Just probably not fully stretched out, unless he made a rehab start that I just missed. But yeah, I mean, I like both sides of it. I'd probably go with Scooter and Joey Votto, and Suarez is just my boy. I'll play him any day of the week. So yeah, I like what you're.
I think all those guys look good. I'm with you on that. So people are asking about Jamison Tylon. We also have him to be projected above 20% ownership, so he is the missing third piece that I mentioned before. How do you feel about Tylon tonight? I can tell you, I don't love him at 20% owned. But that said, the Mets missing some guys. Nimmo's out. Nimmo would obviously be a big risk with how he plays versus righties. How do you feel about Tylon tonight?
Yeah, so Tyon, like, I didn't really have any interest in him earlier today. I wanted to kind of stack against him, but this lineup looks pretty atrocious. So you got Conforto and Asdrubal Cabrera. I still like those two as one-offs, but I mean, I can't even argue against the Tyon play for under 8K going up against this. It's just an awful lineup. It's simple as that. Like, and now you've got some strikeouts in there. You've got Plawecki and Conforto will strike out, but that's not really what you're looking for there. But like Jose Bautista in the 2 spot, Dominic Smith will strike out a ton. So it definitely increases my interest in Tyon. I don't know that I'm gonna be like, he's not gonna be a staple of my lineups, but at least like you definitely have to up the projection for him, I think, after that lineup comes out.
Yeah, I mean, Conforto obviously is the one guy I think on that side who I have no problem with as a one-off. Cabrera, I think, is okay as well, but I'd rather go some other places instead of him tonight. But I think Conforto looks good. The rest of that lineup is, complete dog shit. Guillorme is not good. Plawecki's okay, but not anything to worry about. Reyes doesn't get on base that much. Dominic Smith has been pretty terrible. Obviously, Batista, we've documented his struggles many times. So I think there's a reason to go there. I just like playing Tyon at 22% or whatever. Like, ugh, no, thank you. Same thing as like, I feel like all these guys are just like 22% of this guy, really? Like, that just seems not great.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. It's just like, so where's all the ownership going to go to? I feel like the ownership today is just going to guys in that range, not necessarily because they're great plays, but so like I think everybody agrees Verlander #1 play on the slate by far, and then it's just who do you match him with. But I think these guys are kind of getting their ownership. They're going to be kind of over-owned just because of their names, not necessarily because they're in great matchups or because they're great pitchers at this stage of their career. And I'm talking about like Tyon and Straley. I think Snell's a fine play, but just looking at some of this ownership, it is intriguing because I like a guy at 4K that is going to be 3% is what we have him at. So
yeah, makes sense. People asking also a lot about Loaiziga or whatever, I forget how to pronounce that, but Lasagna for the Yankees going again tonight. Got rocked, I think, his last time out. I think that was his last time out. How are you feeling about Lasagna tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's fine as well. If he's going to be one of the lower owned guys in his range, and we've got him at, really low owned. So, he just automatically is going to, I'm going to be overweight on him just because he's going up against the Phillies. He's a favorite. He's not at home, but Phillies are going to strike out a bunch against righties. And, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to eat the Tyon chalk. I don't want to eat the Dan Straley chalk for sure. And then Shelby Miller, he's going to be one of the most owned guys too, and he hasn't even pitched in AAA this year, and now he's making the jump to the MLB. I mean, I don't know. It's more about other pitchers and just getting off these other pitchers than it is about me wanting to play Lasagna or Velasquez or Felix, but it's just a game theory thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, Lasagna, I think, worries me a little bit. I think people are still pretty bullish on him. At ownership, I don't think, or at least our projections for ownership right now don't fully back that out. But, I mean, boy, he really, versus lefties and righties, he's had some issues. And I feel like that's sort of, the Phillies are a volatile team. They can strike out a lot, but they can also destroy you. I mean, Santana's had some massive games lately. Hoskins has been solid. Herrera has been solid. I think there's a lot of guys there who can get after him, and he's shown he will get hammered if things go bad, and I think that's sort of how I feel about him. I don't feel terribly confident in him. I see the appeal. The swing strike rate looks good in his limited sample size, getting a ton of Ks. Versus lefties, he's striking out 18 per 9 innings. Again, limited sample size, but that is appealing to me. But, a whip of 2 versus lefties so far, a whip of 1.6 versus righties. Not the most confident feeling I would have going with Lasagna tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who. So, is there anyone you're confident in besides Verlander, because I mean, Clevenger would probably be my number 2, or maybe Snell, but man, I can poke holes in pretty much everyone tonight pretty easily. So
I feel the best about Maeda, and I know the Cubs are a tough matchup, but they've had some struggles lately versus pitchers who get good swinging strikes. I think Maeda is one of the best. Actually, he might be the best pitcher. 12.6% swinging strike rate. Versus righties, he does a lot of damage. Lefties, he has some struggles. That kind of worries me with 3 or 4 lefties on the Cubs side, presumably. But Maeda is a good pitcher at home at Dodger Stadium. I feel like that's a spot I felt comfortable with, especially with him being closer to 10% ownership in our projections.
Right. So he's a guy, like, right away I looked at the slate. I was like, oh, Maeda, 8,500. He's at home. Cubs maybe not the best matchup in the world, but I was like, okay, this is a guy I'm going to have interest in. And then I started looking into, like, his game logs where, like, the advanced stuff, so the plate discipline numbers, like the swinging strike and chase rate, and he's not getting either of them over his last couple starts. So I looked at his velocity, and his velocity looks fine, but his movement doesn't look like his pitches aren't moving how they were earlier in the season when I was just hammering him into my lineups. Like, every single time he went out, he was getting a ton of chases, getting swinging strikes, being efficient, going deep. And he's not really doing that right now. So I didn't even look at, like, the surface stuff if he was okay in those stats. But, yeah, 2 strikeouts, 1 strikeout, 2 strikeouts in his last 3. And the advanced stuff sort of backs it up. So he may be dealing with an injury. He may be completely fine. But, yeah, man, since his 2 starts since returning from the DL have not been impressive at all.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's a good reason why to not go his way. I went solely, and I guess I didn't go that level beyond that you have, so I don't want to say it so confidently, but I have the most Maeda, I think, of everybody on the slate, and obviously I never change it while we're on the live stream because it's basically impossible to do that. So yeah, I just I'm riding with Maeda tonight. I feel good enough about it. I mean, on a slate like this where I didn't really feel great about everybody, like even a guy like John Gant, I mean, can get smoked by lefties, giving up 55% hard contact versus lefties. I mean, like Hap, Snell, I think are interesting, but price-wise, it didn't really work out quite as well for me. Shelby Miller gets rocked by lefties, and I think Miami has a couple of lefties who can do some damage. Hamels, I mean, people obviously are very all over the Padres, and for good reason. A couple of the Padres look really good. Hamels has struggled a little bit versus guys like Villanueva and Renfroe. I know, like, it sucks. Like, nothing really jumps out to me. So Maeda having that upside and being 10% owned, that's where I went and probably where I'll ride it out. Let's talk stacks because we've been talking so much pitching. We kind of talk a little bit about stacks, but which stacks do you have the most tonight, and which do you feel the best about?
Yeah. So the thing about stacks tonight that I'm kind of excited about is you're going to get a few like legitimately good teams with a lot of guys with platoon splits at low ownership. So I'm talking about Houston, Cleveland. The Cubs lineup is not as strong as I would like it to be with no Chris Bryant, no Wilson Contreras, but I mostly wanted to target lefties against Maeda. So they're still in play for me. The Braves I like a lot, and then the Diamondbacks as well. So, Seattle's going to get some ownership, but I like those. I think I mentioned 4 or 5 that I mentioned off the top. And then, the big game is going to be San Diego and Texas, and I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Huge total, 95 degrees there. And Cole Hamels and Lucchesi on the mound, I'm not scared of targeting against either of them. So I'll mix those guys in some stacks, but I want to get like 5-man stacks with Houston and Cleveland and maybe even the Cubs and Atlanta.
Yeah, I like Cleveland a fair amount as a stack tonight. I do have some of the Padres. I mean, I do think they grade out well. Obviously, owning the Padres, if they're going to be one of the higher-owned stacks of the night, as people seem to think they will be, including our own ownership projections. I don't know that I want to play, the Hunter Renfroes and Will Myers of the world when they're going to be like 20% owned. But the Padres do look pretty appealing to me, and I think especially with Cole Hamels struggling versus righties, all the righties on that side. Cole versus righties, 5.06 xFIP, 41.6% hard contact. Versus lefties, he's much better, 1.04 WHIP, 3.76 xFIP. So, the righties on the San Diego side, I think, can do some damage tonight. Mariners were a stack that Osmo referenced as being a possible pivot point in his he did an article today, if you want to check it out, if you're a premium member, of the percentage likelihood of each stack being the best one on the night. And he thought Seattle was an interesting pivot for the San Diegos of the world because they're a little more expensive, I guess, and, paying up to be contrarian, I guess, and obviously going against Andrew Kashner. Do you have any Mariners tonight? And if so, which ones are you going with, Jake?
I'll have some Mariners for sure. And it's like the speed guys against Kashner, I think, are in fine spots. So D. Gordon and Segura, I like to play them in good stolen base matchups. And you can definitely steal on Kashner. And then you've got Haniger and Cruz and Seager to kind of clean it up. And even Chris Herman down there at 2,800, dual position eligibility. He's a nice catcher punt against Kashner. He's got some power against righties over the last couple of years. So I like 1 through 5, but I don't mind going down to Herman as well.
Yeah, I think I'm with you mostly on the 1 through 5. I don't have any Herman. My sneaky catcher of the night is Alfaro. I thought he's got some pretty good power numbers, and I think Lasagna will give up something there. Strikes out a fair amount, though, so there's a little bit of a risk there. Highest owned catcher of the night we're projecting, and actually a possible home run pick for me, but I don't know that I want to have a guy who's going to be that highly owned. Part of that Texas stack, Robinson Chirinos. How do you feel about a catcher who seems like he's in a perfect spot, but going to be so highly owned?
Yeah, man, it's tough because I like Chirinos just in general. I love him against lefties, but when you're getting up to the ownership that he's getting up to, we have him projected to be at, it's a lot tougher to play a guy that kind of a free swinger. Like, it's not a lock. He even puts the ball in play. Lucchesi can miss bats. So I don't feel great about playing Chirinos at chalk, or I don't feel great about playing really any hitter at chalk just because baseball is such a failure-based game, and Chirinos has a 32% K rate against lefties this year. So it could be mega tilt if Chirinos strikes out twice against Lucchesi, and then they bring in a righty, and he doesn't even get to face him a third time. Like, you can see that happening pretty easy. So I don't know. I don't love chalk Robinson Chirinos.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I'm with you on it. I think, Lucchesi, I think I saw he's given up like 10 home runs so far this year to righties. His numbers to righties against righties are pretty terrible. His xFIP of 5.52 versus righties, 43% hard contact versus 23% versus lefties. So that's a pretty gigantic split. If you are going to play Rangers, I would definitely be more inclined to go the righties way besides maybe Chu. I mean, Chu's been pretty good versus lefties, and I feel like I would be okay with him, but much rather have the righties on the Rangers side if Lucchesi is that noticeably bad between the two hands.
Yeah, that's why I also like Chris Herman, or just like playing the catcher in your stack if you're not stacking Texas, because he does not have a 20% chance of being the highest owned or the highest raw point catcher. Not that you need that with hitters, you need your stack to go off, but like, man, that is a healthy ownership for a guy who strikes out as much as he does, batting 7th.
I guess Makad asking, while we're talking catcher, how do you feel about Wilson Ramos as a one-off catcher, perhaps as to get away from the old Chirinos chalkerinos?
Oh yeah. So really, there's a few guys in that range. Ramos certainly one of them. Gio is not. Gio's awesome against lefties. I was talking about it this morning, and then against righties, he's okay. I mean, he gets by against righties, but Ramos crushes lefties for his whole career. And, batting 4th at 3,400, yeah, it's a big park, but he can definitely hit the ball hard off of Gio, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm okay with Ramos. I don't think I have any of him, but I see the logic in going there. I have no problem with it. Let's see. Do you want to do home run picks? I feel like we should just do that. We'll talk more stacks and stuff. We'll do your either-ors in the chat, guys, if you want to drop those in there. But let's do our home run. I feel like we always do it around the 35-minute mark for whatever reason.
Yeah, let's do
it. Let's see. You go first.
All right, let's see. I didn't get this prepared before the show.
I was going to go to Chirinos, but I think I'm off of him just because of that whole discussion we just had.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm finding a new guy now.
Let's go with so my spotlight hitter was Paul Goldschmidt, but he's been too scorching hot. I'll go with I'm going to go with Josh's boy, Daniel Descalso, batting cleanup against Dan Straley. He's donging off chalk Dan Straley.
So my pick on Friday doesn't count because nobody else made one, and so that's. But I'm going with the guy I went with on Friday anyway. Again, because I feel like he's in a better spot tonight. I think Tyler Mahle is going to get rocked. I'm going Freddie Freeman again.
I love it.
It's got to happen.
Fully endorse the Freddie Freeman pick. I just wanted to pick on Josh there.
That's fair. As you should. As we all should. Yeah, I like that. Justin Bauer, by the way, an interesting pick. Bauer, I think, graded out really well for me. In part, let me pull that up because I actually think this is worth talking about. I think the Miami mini stack is pretty interesting. There are 3 guys on that side. Shelby Miller's splits, lefties versus righties, are atrocious. Like, he's really, really bad versus lefties. He's very good versus righties. And I think with Miami, they're like, hold on, my Excel, of course, is going at an ungodly slow pace. I think Bauer looks really good as a lefty. I think Dietrich is also pretty good looking. And JT Riddle, I think, is the other lefty there at a very cheap little play for shortstop. He's not a fantastic player, but if we're trying to do contrarian, maybe if you're going with Verlander and somebody else chalky at pitcher, I think that Miami mini stack could kind of get you some unique guys at decent ownership who can probably rock Shelby Miller if he gives him the chance.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't mind that at all. Mostly Bohr, but if you want to throw in anyone in the middle of that lineup, so Brian Anderson, I like Brian Anderson mostly against lefties, but Castro's fine. I think Riddle's fine. It's super cheap, and you get some leverage off the Shelby Miller ownership.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's an interesting thought there for Miami. So the guy repping Mark C, your Justin Bauer home run call, I think is interesting. Bohr, whatever. Bohr, Bauer. I feel like he should be Bauer. I like that more. It's like sour. It's fucking make your name better, Justin Bohr. Lugo is really up and down, but what do you guys think on DK? Jake, you're all over Lugo, right?
Yeah, I like him. I'm not crazy about the matchup. I think I talked about this with Godley the last time I was on, and that so Lugo can miss bats very, very well. Actually, I think he's striking out both righties and lefties at a 27% clip. And then, like, this Pittsburgh lineup is lefty heavy, but I'm not super worried about Lugo getting blown up here. 3.9 run total. I mean, I thought he was going to be very chalky, but I guess he's not. But he looks pretty good to me, so I'm in on Lugo.
I think he seems like he seems to me like a low ceiling, like high floor kind of guy. Like, I think he's a pretty good bet to get you in an okay range, so I'm okay with him. But I just don't see the strikeouts on Pittsburgh's side. I mean, they've been very good versus righties in terms of not striking out. I think only 19.3% of the time this year, which would put him at like the lowest strikeout numbers on the slate. And really, nobody on that side strikes out more than nobody on that side strikes out more than 20%. So I think if you're gonna go with Lugo, I think just beware of the fact that like you're playing kind of a thin margin game. But I agree that he's like an okay play.
Right. And yeah, it just goes like I don't have any confidence in anyone in that range. So I think Lugo, Velasquez, and Felix are the best plays, and two of those guys aren't even going to be owned like over 15%. I think it's pretty safe to say. So,
are we concerned about the Cleveland weather tonight? I saw it was in yellow. I'm not. So in part because I got so burned by not playing the Cleveland game on Friday. I didn't play any Shane Bieber. I didn't play anybody from it because I was worried about the weather. I'm a little more into the Indians tonight. I'm a little more into Clevenger. I'm writing it out. Are you concerned at all about the weather in that game?
I'm not super concerned about it because I don't have a ton of Clevenger. So if I did, then I would be tracking it very, very closely. I can pull it up here after I run this crunch quick. But let's see. I don't know. Have you looked at the radar yourself?
I've not. I only looked at the weather on the various websites, and it seems like it's in yellow everywhere.
Okay, let's see.
I'm not a good radar reader guy. I just trust
meteorologist Jake at your service. Let's see. AccuWeather is my weather site, although I do sometimes check the other sites for weather. Sometimes it's a lot easier if there's a lot of stuff going on instead of looking up every single city. Here we go.
Also, the Cubs and Dodgers lineups are in case somebody was waiting for those. I'm updating my stuff now.
Radar. All right. No more. Oh, no more quick hits from Josh. No, he is just on vacation right now. So he'll be back.
None of us have the production facilities to do that right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Josh did it all himself. Kept it all to himself, so nobody could sub in. But yeah, quick hits will be back. I think Josh is back Thursday, so I assume he'll be doing it back then.
Let's see. Future radar at Busch Stadium. I mean, man, I honestly, it looks like everything's pretty far out from now. This game starts at 8:15 Eastern, so we've got a couple hours until it's supposed to start. Well, 2.5 about. So right now it looks okay for hitters for me. If I had Clevenger, I would be a little nervous, but it doesn't look like there's anything too substantial, or that like they couldn't start late and play clean afterwards.
Oh, shit. Also, Chris Taylor's not in for the Dodgers in case anybody had him in. Because I do. Now I need to get him out. Damn you, Chris Taylor. Let's see. Play that Jimenez for the Cubs and take salary relief. 3 hits for 2.5K incoming. I don't believe in the Cubs tonight. I'm a Maeda guy, so I don't see it for Jimenez, but that is a nice price.
Yeah, I don't like Jimenez. I mean, he's fine for a punt. Like, if you need a $2,500 catcher, then sure, but you wouldn't be a guy I'm intentionally targeting, especially with Maeda being so good against righties.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see, what else? Any good questions, guys? Jose Bautista, 3,300 on DK. Dude is on fire right now. I haven't seen Jose Bautista on fire. I didn't play this weekend, though, so I don't know if Jose Bautista has been on fire or not.
I mean, Tyon is good against righties, so if I don't have to target Joey Bats, then I'm not going to. I get it, dual position eligibility, batting second, but he hits lefties much better, so I'm not going to try to have Jose Bautista in a bunch of lineups.
Yeah, makes sense. Low-owned Yankee stack tonight. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. Velasquez has had the tendency to blow up, and I think I said that like 3 starts ago. It was whenever he had like his first real blow up. I said it. Like he's kind of gotten better. He's more under control, and then it was against the Brewers, and he just got blasted. So my bad for that one, but he's not that changed of a pitcher. He just is striking out a lot more lefties this year. So I see the Yankees stack, especially you're going to get low ownership. I should have included them in the good teams you're going to get under 10% category, because they certainly fall into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're playing Velasquez at any sort of depth, like I think I have 4 out of 20 that are Velasquez. I made sure to throw in one Yankee stack because I think that's one of those games. I mean, there are sometimes I point out these games where I feel like if you have the pitcher, you have to hedge and just have the other lineup on that side. And I think a low-owned Yankees lineup on that other side, I think, is pretty smart to have if you're going to go with any Vince Velasquez tonight. Devin Broth says that Atlanta and Cleveland should play as of 45-ish minutes ago. Thank you. I appreciate you also giving us the pseudonym in the chat, Sushane. That shows you really know our brand of not giving plugs for free. Getting asked about the Arizona stack again by Cedric. So, Jake, you want to extol your love for the Arizona again?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lefty-heavy lineup. We talked about how bad Straley was against lefties, and he's going to get – so the top 4 is not going to be easy for Straley at all, I don't think. Jay, like you said, gets on base. Goldschmidt is just going on an insane streak right now, but he also hits righties well. It's not just because he's hot that you want to play him, but certainly not leaving him out in a stack intentionally. And then Lamb, 4,100, Descalso, 3,900, batting cleanup, hits righties very well. I don't see what there's not to like about the Diamondbacks, and I like it even more that Straley's going to be pretty popular.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that all makes sense. I don't have enough Diamondbacks right now, but I do feel like I'm looking at them now, as we often say on these streams, as I often say as I look through the things, and Jake or Josh makes a good point. I think Arizona is a team that you should probably have a fair amount of stackings. Goldschmidt and Lamb in particular, even if you have like a 5-3 or a 5-2-1, I think Goldschmidt and Lamb you have to have in some volume, because those guys look really good.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about Odubel Herrera? He's been hitting very well. I think the Philly stack is interesting, and people aren't on it enough, even though Lasagna has shown that he can get shelled. How do you feel about Herrera and I guess the Philly stack in general?
Oh yeah, I mean, no problem with the other side of it either. I mean, I'm more on. I don't think I would get to many full Philly stacks. I'm more like Santana, Herrera, and Rhys Hoskins. But if you want a full stack, it's going to be super low owned. And like you said, Loisiga has, or I'm sorry, Lasagna, mispronounced his name. Lasagna has shown he can already get blown up. He does. I mean, so any pitcher can get blown up. Like Verlander could get blown up tonight. But when we say could get blown up, like this guy has a better chance than I think most pitchers, I would say.
Yeah, I think that top 5 or top 4 in Alfaro, I think would be where I would go. Hernandez, Hoskins, Herrera, Santana, and Nick Williams, and then either Williams or Alfaro, I think. I like Alfaro a lot, though. Alfaro, to me, is one of my favorite cheap catchers tonight. 338 on base percentage, 177 isolated power, 114 WRC plus, so he's right in the mix with all those other guys in terms of how much runs he's creating. He's an interesting play to me. Let's see. Chalkiest pitcher is Verlander. I don't. That's not going to change.
No, it's not. It's going to be Verlander by a wide margin.
Would you start Blake Snell in a cash game today?
I think we talked about this earlier. I think someone had that question, but I mean, no, I don't think I would. I still don't like targeting against that Nationals lineup. I like Snell. I'll have Snell in tournaments. But if I was playing cash and I'm looking for floor, I don't think that targeting against the Nationals lineup with either handed pitcher is a great option.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there is some possible upside there, mostly because, hold on,
no, there's certainly upside with Snell. That's why I like that for tournaments.
And he's particularly good versus lefties, and the most dangerous batters on the Nationals side are lefties, and I think that, though Soto's a lefty, right? I don't have that.
Soto's a lefty.
Yeah, so Soto's a lefty. Soto's actually been really good versus lefties too. He's got actually the highest WRC plus on the slate versus lefties, 239, which is outrageous.
Yeah.
Hitting 457 on base percentage and 467 isolated power. That's crazy. But that said, Snell does limit damage. He does get some pretty good soft contact. Actually, no, not really. You know what? I don't know that I love Snell, to be honest. Now that I'm looking at this.
I mean, I like him just because I think he's such a good pitcher that I think he can overcome this matchup. He's at home. It's a good park. It's just the difference between cash games and tournaments. Like, do I think Snell could get you 25 or 30 in this spot? Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable amount of times that he gets you that kind of number and strikes out 7 in 7 innings or something. But like Michael Taylor in there, Rendon, I'm scared of. I'm scared of Trey Turner, Harper. No Murphy in the lineup. That's interesting because he hits lefties really well. And I don't think Soto is going to be the best hitter ever against lefties as a lefty, but he
probably won't sustain that forever.
He has been really good. You're right. And even Michael Taylor hits lefties really hard when he's making contact. So, kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I want a full Nat stack, but I do like Snell in tournaments.
I think it's an interesting stack, but I also think it's one of those again where I think Snell's an interesting play because there's so many strikeouts on that side, and he should be able to handle the lefties pretty well. But yeah, I mean these bats don't look terrible. They don't look terrible in that game. The total doesn't look great though. I don't think so. That's sort of that would be the one downside.
San Diego stack, yeah. Okay, so I don't know. We kind of brushed over it, but they're going to be one of the chalkier stacks. I think it's pretty safe to say against Cole Hamels in that heat. They've got it looks like a good lineup. Like they did a good job, I think, making that lineup with Margot leading off, then Myers, Renfroe, Villanueva. There's a lot of power with Villanueva and Renfroe and Myers in there, so I like those top 4, and then probably Hedges or Ellis to fill that catcher spot. There are a lot of good catcher options, so I don't want to play a ton of Robinson Chirinos. Just kind of circling back to that.
I agree actually with Ellis. I have a fair amount of him too. I think he looks good. I think you left out Perella though in that stack, and I feel like Perella is a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good part as well. Dual position eligibility too, which I think is nice. I think that top five, and then top five, and then one of. I wouldn't mind leaving off Will Myers because I think he's going to be. I think we have him as being the highest owned out of those guys, or at least we did earlier today. Let's see. Yeah, Perella is now the highest owned. Actually, no, never mind. So Will Myers will not be the highest owned anymore. I don't know. I do feel like you can skip one of those guys though and get to Ellis, but I wouldn't leave out Perella. I think Perella looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, 3,100, he can hit lefties going back to last year. I don't mind Perella at all. I just kind of forgot to say him, but I think the Padres are a perfectly fine stack. I hate the idea of playing a bad team against a pitcher I somewhat respect as chalk on a 10-game slate. So a little wary of the Padres. I'll be underweight on them as full stacks, but I'll have some of the guys I mentioned.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And Osmo himself, if you're a premium member, gives a strategy if you want to pivot off of the Padres in his article where he breaks down the top stack percentages today. So go check that out on the site. It's up right there on the homepage if you're a premium member. Or if you're not a premium member, I don't know what you're doing. You're just hurting us emotionally every day. How about the Dodgers stack? I think we have them as being a little lower owned. I think you discussed that you are a Dwayne guy. I don't even remember his last name offhand.
Underwood.
Dwayne Underwood. Yes, of course. He's one of the House of Cards family Underwoods, I'm sure. Hopefully less handsy than Kevin Spacey, perhaps.
Jeez.
But to me, like the Dodgers look good going against an unknown quantity pitcher. I think they're an interesting play. The Dodgers are always low owned because the lineups come in late, I think, too. I have no data to back this up. I feel like they play better at home. Even though it's a pitcher's park, I do feel like they have a lot of big runs, and they've been profitable for me a couple times this year playing at home. Are you going with any Dodgers, or are you fully team Underwood?
No, I mean, I'm well over the field on Underwood, so I'll have some Dodger stacks. And it's honestly because, first start, you never know how it's going to go. And if you just look at game logs, and it's not the best research, I try to say it as much as possible, but just like a quick look at game logs and like his ERA, because you don't get all the advanced stats in AAA and stuff, but yeah, he can strike guys out, but he gives up a ton of fly balls, quite a few line drives. So when he gets hit pretty hard. And for that reason, I think the Dodgers are a fine stack. I think I would like it a lot more if we saw Underwood's ownership looking like it was going to be 20% or something like Straley's. But yeah, I think it's a fine play. You never know what's going to happen in these first starts. So
yeah, I think I agree. Somebody asked about the Baltimore stack. Alex B asked me about the Baltimore stack. Any thoughts on that? Obviously, you mentioned Felix as being a guy you didn't mind tonight. They do have some power on the Baltimore side, also some strikeouts. So, I don't know. They seem like a GVP play, but do you have any Baltimore? And if you don't, who would you be playing?
I would be playing Machado, probably Rasmus, probably those top three, actually. I'm not on the play Chris Davis bandwagon yet, even for 2,800 against Felix. Like, if he goes yard, I'll just have to eat it, and, that will be that. But I don't know. Felix is fine against righties, and it's a righty-heavy lineup. If there were a couple more lefties in there, I think I'd be more interested in the Orioles stack. But, it's fine, but more of a secondary play for me with guys like Machado, Jones, and Rasmus.
Yeah, I think a 3-man stack I'd be okay with. I probably wouldn't go or a one-off with Rasmus. I think is also okay. Besides that, though, I'm not crazy about it, and I think Felix is okay. Didn't play a ton of Felix tonight though, but I think he's okay. What about Trumbo? Trumbo doesn't look that great to me. 294, 175 isolated power, 284 BABIP. Only 87 WRC plus, so he's not a great play. But if you want to full stack him, I think he would be a big part of a full stack.
Right. It's another one of those where I would be a lot more interested in the Orioles if we thought that Felix was going to be very highly owned, and he's not looking like that's going to be the case. So I'll lean towards the Felix side there.
Anyone like Profar? Batting 6 might be turning everyone off. Kevin McKay is asking. I like Profar. I actually like Profar more than Andrus tonight.
Yeah, Profar popped like the highest projected player in that game for me. So I had to put his DK point total down in my projections just because he was at an absurd amount, and I would have got a ton of ownership on him. But yeah, I like him a lot. 4,300 got the bump down in the lineup that may put some people off of him, but he's one of my favorite plays in that game behind Andrews and Beltre.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Chirinos I still think looks good, but in terms of ownership, obviously there's some logic there and looking the other way. But yeah, that said, I think to me that he would be a part of a Ranger stack, and he definitely is a part of a Ranger stack that I have. So I'm on board with Profar as well. Underwood had bad K rates in the minors. Doubt he'll last long. I hope you're right, HPT, because I don't see it for Underwood tonight, though. Again, a great name, great House of Cards based name. Atlanta weather, thunderstorms until 9:30 tonight. Anything else weather-wise we're worried about now, Jake? Anything changed for you?
I don't know. Nothing really changed for me. Like, I mean, that Cleveland game, little dicey, I would say, but I'm not playing a ton of Clevenger, so I'm not too worried about it. I think they should be able to play it from what I'm looking at with the radar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not changing anything right now. I'm riding with the Braves. Braves still, to me. I mean, this is fucking same thing as Friday, where I also was like playing the Braves, and then they ended up being delayed, and then never really got going after the delay, which stunk.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still riding out of absolute downpour in Atlanta right now, but the heaviest stuff is clearing east. Is what I'm reading right now. That's what I'll go with. That's what I'll pray and hope for. Freddie Freeman, don't screw me, buddy. Don't screw me. People asking about Chris Davis again. You want to give your Chris Davis take one more time before we close out? Yeah. I'm not on Chris Davis tonight.
There's just such a bigger sample of him being terrible than there is of him being good. And I don't know. I don't think he's a good hitter anymore. I think he's just as likely to strike out 3 times as he is to hit a home run. And I just don't think I need him tonight. So no Chris Davis.
I don't think he has he doesn't have crazy enough power to justify a strikeout rate. 36.3 percent strikeouts versus righties. Only 180 isolated power, which is fine, but like not for a guy that you should be going out of your way to get. Let's see his ownership. I assume his ownership won't be anything crazy, but actually no, we have him as being 13% owned. I don't need to play Chris Davis at 13% owned just because he's cheap.
Yeah, I agree.
Play Justin Bour. Pay $700 more. Play Bour. Let's see. Renfroe. People talking Renfroe. Justin Smoke 2 home runs tonight. Any interest in the Blue Jays as a pivot? They've done this a couple times where they've occasionally ruined a person's day and had a pretty decent night for themselves. Any Blue Jays interest at all?
No, not really. I think that's getting too cute against Verlander. So.
Okay, I agree. I think that's fair. I don't think Verlander is like a bad enough pitcher. Like they beat up Gio. Gio, I could see. You could beat up Gio. Verlander, I don't think is that guy. Cod asking for my Paul Blackburner of the night, the cheap guy who I feel like is okay to play. To be honest, there really isn't one for me tonight. I didn't go super duper cheap with anyone. I guess it would be Dan Straley. I played him maybe once or twice. I also have one Underwood. It wasn't a cheap night for me. I paid more for the Maeda. I don't know. I don't even know where my second is. The Maeda, like Velasquez tier, is where I went more so. Full stacking Atlanta or just for top 4 or 5 bats? I am full stacking Atlanta all 5.
Yeah. I'll full stack. I mean, I'll do both. I have them as secondary stacks and full stacks, but I'm heaviest on Freeman, Markakis. Love Albies, love Inciarte too.
DFS theory question: why do we play DraftKings over FanDuel? Shane feels like it's hard enough picking one pitcher and catchers are a crapshoot. Jake, do you have any rationale?
I mean, I think pitchers are much easier to pick, in my opinion. Like I had the most success picking pitchers. They say bats win the GPPs, but I don't know. I feel like I can zero in on 2 pitchers and have an advantage that way. Whereas I think it's hard to do, but I think you can predict pitchers a lot better.
Yeah, I'm also just brand loyal. Like I played on DraftKings, so I'm gonna keep playing on DraftKings. If FanDuel wants to win me over and send me some free things and give me money and stuff, sure. But I think I like DraftKings and I like the variety. Like I don't want to do both at the same time. That's sort of how I feel as well. I'd rather just do one and try to be competent at the one instead of try to adjust for things. I don't have the time to do both. I'm a busy man. I'm busy talking about DFS. Too busy to play it. Are we avoiding any games because of the weather? I'm not avoiding either. I'm hoping that they're all going to play. But Jake, how about you?
Yeah, I'm not avoiding any. I don't think anything is too scary where I'm like worried enough to take all my hitters out. So those games, I'm not playing much pitcher exposure. The St. Louis and Atlanta games. So.
How much money do you guys risk on a given night? For me, for baseball, tonight I'm doing like 160 in the rally cap. I'm usually good for between, it depends though. Sometimes I'll play the table setter and just do the $2 one on DraftKings, which is 20 max. I'll go between 50 and 200. For NBA, I'm going up to like usually 400 or so. How about you, Jake?
Yeah. So it varies a couple to a few hundred per night. I mean, there's nights where I'll play more, but that's mostly in hockey where I will like significantly up my exposure because I feel like I have the biggest edge in hockey. But I mean, I do the same thing in baseball. Some nights I'll play just the 150 mini max or whatever, or like $150 worth of stuff. Some nights I'll play 400 or 500. It depends.
It depends on the confidence level I have in the slate sometimes and how sometimes I'm making lineups and I'm just like, I just want to keep making more lineups because I'm feeling it or I feel like I have an angle that I can exploit. So sometimes I'll do a little more, but generally for me for baseball, that's where I'm going because I'm not trying to lose it all every single day.
FanDuel is currently randomly depositing $5,000 into accounts. That can't be true. That's got to be a joke.
Hey, if you want me to play on FanDuel, then you can randomly deposit $5,000 into Chris Pax's account, and I'll play FanDuel all day.
Just start withdrawing furiously, seeing if you can get it.
Like, hey, thanks, FanDuel. See you later.
Yeah.
Back to DraftKings. I'm going to give them the money instead. That's not a lie. All right, hey, whatever. I don't know. I have a FanDuel account, so drop me $5,000, FanDuel. Holla at your boy. Let's see. But it does sound like fake news. I agree, guys. Jake, thanks for the heads up on Skaggs. It's going to skip the early slate, but played it because of that high ownership you mentioned, and McCod cashed. So good job, Jake. You saved somebody's life.
I think Skaggs is good, though. But I think Edwin Jackson and what's his name? Brad Keller, they both came close to outscoring him. So, yeah, I mean, you got to fade that kind of ownership. Like, he had him projected as 85%. It was a two-game slate, but still, like 85%. Like, get out of here.
That's nuts. Yeah, I would never want to play anybody. Like LeBron during the playoffs, I'll play at 85%. Beyond that, probably not a lot of guys I would play at 85% in any DFS sport. Yeah. Let's see. Anything good? Anything good, guys? 5K. Oh, it's 5. Okay, FanDuel's giving away 5,000 in total and randomly putting money into accounts.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So I ended up with less Verlander than I wanted, but I don't know. Just like looking at that final crunch, I just scrambled and put it in. But other than that, like I'm pretty comfortable with where things are at. I think we've reached lock, have we not? No.
Yeah, we got like seconds left. Somebody, Elizabeth, asking about Velasquez and Hernandez. Well, that's a fine enough pairing. We have no issue with that. Yeah. I don't think.
So and then I'm kind of happy with my Padres exposure as well. Just got the most of the top four, and I'm pretty low on the bottom part of that lineup, outside of some Hedges and Ellis. So I don't have a ton of full Padres stacks, which I'm happy about. Yeah,
I think that makes sense. I think that I like the Padres. I mean, like this Villanueva just jumps off the page, man. Like that guy's really raking, and in a matchup where he should be able to hit Cole Hamels, I think. Yeah. I do like that. I do like parts of that stack, but yeah, a 5-man stack might be a little too highly owned for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we have any ownership stuff yet? Let's see how it all shook out. I don't know if it'll load yet.
Let's see. All right. So this is in the mini max. Felix 8%. What do we have? What else? Ooh, Nelson Cruz is chalk, 20%. I mean, not super chalk, but against cash.
I had him at 4% on Friday in a couple lineups, where he had 44, and I was so stoked. And then fucking JD Martinez had to get 44 and ruin everything. And then there were like 2 other guys who had 25, and I was feeling so good because Cruz was raking, and I had him at like nothing, at like the lowest ownership, and just, nope. But Cruz has been fucking smashing that ball, so I think he might be worth it tonight, maybe. Probably
so
not.
Nothing crazy. Velasquez, we were pretty much right on in that $1 tournament. He's 22.3%. Loaiziga 7%. I like that. Judge, Stanton, those guys aren't heavily owned. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Cruz is 23% in the rally cap, and Velasquez is 25%. So.
Yeah. So people are on the Velasquez train. I think that's fine. I think the low-owned Yankee stack is a fine play as well. So pretty expected ownership there, actually, from the early stuff.
Yeah, a full Mariner stack might be okay. Like, I think even if Cruz is a big day, like, obviously that's not going to be great. But Segura is only 8%, I guess, because he's just coming back to the lineup. Haniger is only 10%. Like, people just went heavy on Cruz and not as heavy on some of those other guys.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, fuck it. I feel like we've done enough for today. It's a Monday. We'll get back. We got Jake for the next 3 days, at least. So we'll be doing this again. Jake will have the Night Shift podcast coming up. He will have the morning strategy video, which is far too early for me to take part in, so I won't be doing it. But Jake will be doing it, holding it down, doing the one-man show. So go tune in for that. Make sure to go sign up for the Playline thing, playline.com/r/Awesemo. You're guessing the lines for, I think it was David Price, John Lester, and a third mystery man who I don't remember offhand and I don't have in front of me. So
I thought it might have been Kluber. I can't remember though.
Is that right? Sure, that sounds like a person who would be.
I don't know. I'll have an article out there for it.
Yeah, Jake will have an article coming up tomorrow, so go. But join now, playline.com/r/Awesemo. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, you should be. So subscribe, like our videos. And I guess, Jake, any parting words?
Yeah, guys, come in chat tomorrow. I'll try to answer some questions. I'll run through the slate, kind of like how I've been doing for the night shift, just give you a little bit of a refresher for the people that may not have had time to listen to it. It'll be live, so come interact. I welcome your discussion and just your questions or your trolls. Just come hang out and check out the Spotlight Hitters Pitcher Stacks. And I'll see you here for the next couple days.
Oh, there you go. And the third guy in the Playline contest, Luis Severino. That's the answer to the question. Thanks to our COO, Tom, popping in. It's better known as Tom JK, who's winning all your money on DraftKings and FanDuel. But yeah, we'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in, and good luck out there.